Hey there, BikeBlogger here. On my way home from work. Not quite as dark as some of my past videos. Had daylight saving time, so I won't be riding at night so much anymore. Whew. Windy day today. Very windy. So tonight, I wanted to talk about crank length. Woo! There's a lot of opinions, everyone's got one, on what is the ideal crank length. I like to be inclusive to beginner cyclists. So what the heck is a crank? It's a thing that that attaches to your pedals. You spin it. That's what we call spinning. That's very elementary. But yeah, a bicycle crank is the thing that you spin. You get the ring on the front of your bike spinning the gear. Anyway, what is the ideal crank length? They come in all different lengths. Crank length is the length from the crank bolt to where the pedal is. The pedal bolt, I guess I should say. On the end of the crank. That's the length of a bicycle crank. They come in various sizes, from 165 millimeters to 175 generally. So that's 10 millimeters. Light's going green, that's good. And if I remember correctly, this road is just horrible right here. So yeah, you got from 165 to 175 millimeters. The difference in crank length. So what's ideal? There's different ways of measuring ideal crank length. That guy's a pretty bright light. Oh, it's alright. Couldn't tell which side of the... I always wonder about that with my lights. It's pretty darn bright. I try to aim it down so I don't blind people, but that guy's light was so bright I couldn't tell if he was on the left or the right side of the bike path here. Not really, at least. Anyway, back to crank length. So you got about a difference of 10 millimeters. Now, that's, in my opinion, that's a very small change. You know, it's sort of like, for me personally, with bicycle saddles. You know, after I ride for once or twice with a particular bike saddle, you know, I get used to it. Some I do prefer a little more than others, but I get used to it. So, either way with me. But I will say that my favorite, which is also sort of a common crank length, is 172.5. Now that's on the longer end of cranks, bicycle cranks. Now, why would you want a shorter crank, like 167.5 or 165? Well, if you ride fixed gear, you're a little less likely to clip the pedal on a turn, because naturally you can't just coast through the turn and keep your downstroke on the outside of the turn, to avoid hitting it on the floor, on the ground. It's a little easier to spin. Some people claim that, and it makes sense. You can spin the crank, the pedals. I shouldn't say pedals, but you spin the chain ring a little more easily. What's going on here? I don't know why that guy is waiting for me. Whew. But see what else. With a longer crank, you're going to have more leverage. So climbing out of the saddle like I'm doing now, whew, you get a little more leverage going, which I think is good for riding single speed like I am now. There's different types of riders though. There's some who, they spin more. In my opinion though, riding single speed, the only way you can really climb some of these hills is if you just sort of attack it. By that I mean you got to keep your cadence going, keep your momentum going. Yeah, I find a longer crank is gonna help you get a little more leverage going. See what else. If you're a short person, then you'd use a shorter crank anyway. So it's sort of a moot point. But I think since the average adult male in my country is, under 6 feet, but above 6.5 feet, that it's just more common to see longer crank lengths, like 172.5, 170, and not so often 175 though. I'm sure they come longer too though. I think the main lengths are 165, 167.5, 170, 172.5, and 175. Wow. That was probably almost 10 minutes of just talking about crank lengths. Who thought it possible? But now you'll find long internet discussions on it. Like I said though, for me personally, I mean, there are a lot of people who are really into cycling as a competition sport, and every little percent of efficiency they can get, they'll do it. But obviously, the only way you can get it, have a different crank length, as far as I know, I don't think there are any adjustable ones, I could be wrong. You have to buy a whole new crank, and that ain't cheap. So it's hard to experiment without test riding or something. But anyway, about ready to wrap this video up, I think. Getting a bike fit, they can measure that for you, figure out what your ideal crank length should be. I think saddle height's more important. Actually, quite a lot of measurements more important, I think, than crank length. That's just me personally, though. That's yeah. So, yeah, what's going on over here? Got all the lights turned on at the baseball field. nice weather tonight. It's like 60 degrees, I think, Fahrenheit. Because again, 60 Celsius would be pretty darn hot. I have to look that up. What is 60 Celsius? Sounds really hot. So, thanks for coming along with me on my bicycle commute home tonight. I would go a little longer here, but I need to get to bed. Got to start the next day fresh. And we'll see you next time. Oh my gosh, the lights just went out. Woo! Here comes a biker. Woo! I waved, but they didn't wave back to me.